Hey, so I recently got this minimalist wallet. Isn't it cool? Anyways, that had nothing to do with the video. I just wanted to point it out. Today we're talking about how I manage my money and how I'm able to save 90% of my income. So let's get into it. Before I even start, I want to point out two things. Number one, I'm not a licensed professional, so don't take this as financial advice. You should always do your own research. You shouldn't listen to anyone on the internet, especially not me, because I'm a fucking idiot. Number two, I am from Canada, so a lot of this may not apply to people outside the country. There are supplies everywhere. I even got one in my mouth earlier. The things I do for videos. Right around when the pandemic hit, I got really interested in the FIRE movement, which stands for Financially Independent, Retire Early. And the whole idea behind the movement is to try to maximize your income while minimizing your expenses. And that way you could use the money that you save to invest in things that will bring you money, like stocks or real estate or even a business. And then you could use that cash flow to live off of. And learning about this movement actually inspired me to completely change how I think about my finances. The first steps in saving money for me starts before I even get money deposited into my bank account. The company I work for has an RRSP program, which will auto-deposit a percentage of my income to this account. An RRSP is essentially the Canadian equivalent to the American 401k. So this is a tax-deferred investment account where you're able to invest tax-free until you actually withdraw the money. I won't go into it in detail, but that's the service level. In this account, I have it auto-invest in a few mutual funds and index funds which follow the market. And they're about 30% Canadian stocks, 30% US stocks, 10% bonds, and the rest in cash. Since it's auto-deposited, I don't really worry about this account too much. I just, every few weeks, I'll check that the funds ended up in the account. The real fun comes in when the money finally reaches my bank account. And no matter how much I make that week, I divide it pretty much the same way. I know a lot of people who like to spend first, and then whatever's left over is saved. But I don't personally like to do this because it doesn't prioritize saving. So what I like to do is save first, then whatever's left over is spending money. So how I'm currently dividing my income is 60% goes into the high yield savings account, 30% goes into investments, then the remaining 10% is spending money. Let's start with the high yield savings account. The reason why it's so high is because I want to save for a house within the next 3 to 4 years. So 50% is meant for that, and the remaining 10% is meant as an emergency fund. This is money for if all hell breaks loose, I have a buffer to go to. Instead of having to pull from my investments accounts, I could pull from this money. The general rule of thumb is to have money to cover 6 to 8 months worth of expenses. But since my expenses are so low, I'm trying to predict where my expenses will end up within the next 3 to 4 years and save for that. I chose to put my money with Scotiabank's Momentum Plus savings account, which currently has an interest rate of 1.15%. It was previously 1.65%, but because of the pandemic, pretty much every bank slashed their interest rates. I know a popular choice with Canadians is EQ Bank, but unfortunately, they don't service Quebec, which is where I'm from. I chose Scotiabank because they were the bank I was most comfortable with, who are also offering the highest interest rate. Next, let's talk about my investment accounts. So besides the RRSP, I have a TFSA and a personal taxable account. If you want to know the difference between a TFSA and an RRSP, I'll link a video in the description about it by this guy, Beavis something. I can't remember his name. In the TFSA, you're allowed a maximum contribution each year, and it varies each year. But this past year was $6,000, and if you don't put in the full amount, it actually carries over to the next year. So every year I'm gonna be maxing out the TFSA, and whatever's left over will go into the personal investment account. And in both of these accounts, I'm doing pretty much the same thing. I'm investing in safe blue chip dividend paying stocks, and just buying and holding, buying and holding. I keep track of my holdings in these accounts through a Power BI report that I made. And it actually grabs data from the internet and then puts them into the report. And it shows me certain data about all of my holdings. Finally, I pay myself 10% for the little expenses that I have and a little bit of splurging. Currently, the 4 expenses that I have is my phone bill, my health plan, and Apple Music, and then a bus pass. Since I'm not going anywhere, I'm not paying for the bus pass right now, so that cuts out my expenses by $90. That's in a nutshell how I'm currently spending my money and how I'm able to save 90% of my income by being a boring fuck who doesn't spend money at all. But if you have any questions, let me know and I'll be happy to answer them. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, click the like button so I know and subscribe because it helps, and until next time, peace.